All right. Hello and welcome to the Postgame Pint Twins Daily. It is Monday, August 10th. Twins have defeated the Brewers 4-2, snapping a four-game losing streak. So let's talk about it. We got a few Twins Daily writers on hand here to discuss the game. I myself am Nick Nelson of Twins Daily, enjoying myself a nice little pint of Ninja versus Unicorn from Pipeworks Brewing here this evening, a double IPA, one of my favorite beers. We're joined by Ted Schwerzler. Ted, how you doing, man? What are you having a drink tonight?
No drink tonight. Was doing some work stuff late, so no beer tonight. Went with a little bit of Mountain Dew Zero.
Yeah, that's just fine. Get a little caffeine, staying up, getting stuff done. I like it. Joined also by Matthew Taylor. Matthew, how are you doing? Are you having a beverage this evening?
I am having a water with lime, so got it in a nice glass, but just a water with lime tonight. Very classy,
very classy. I think Cody is going to be joining us at some point. I'll keep an eye out for him. I don't see him in the room yet, but everyone that's in here, I see quite a few attendees already. Excited to talk about this game. I just want to let you know you are encouraged to join the conversation. You can use the chat function. Share your thoughts there. We'll see them. We'll discuss them. Also, there is a Q&A panel. If you pop a question in there, we will bring it up and answer it on the air, talk about it. So whatever you guys want to talk about coming off this game, feel free to put it out there, and we'll chat about it. Oh, I see Cody's here now too, so I'm going to pop him in. One moment. Meantime here, I'm just going to set up a little screen share so we can take a look at the game here. Let's see. Oh, not that. So, Twins win 4-2. Eddie Rosario with the grand slam heard around the world, or at least around Twins territory, I think. Much needed from fans who've been watching this team scuffle a lot to come through with the big hit. Randy Dobnak getting it done once again. 1 run over 5 innings, 3 strikeouts, only 1 walk, 4 hits. Tremendous stuff. And then the bullpen with a very nice 4 innings, 1 run allowed, shutting it down, holding that lead. Rocco Baldelli there going to his top dogs to get it done. Ted, what's your big takeaway from tonight's game?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to, I guess, nitpick, in a win. But I think the two things that stick out to me, one is the problematic offense still in that, I mean, Rosario comes through with the big grand slam, but then there's nothing the rest of the way. Not even runs-wise, but the offense and the bats just kind of go silent. It seems almost like, I don't know if the at-bats get worse, but the situation was very similar with the White Sox games in that first series as well. They piled on in the first couple innings and then didn't really add anything from there. And then also I think tomorrow they're set up a little bit weird now, going with a pen game after Randy Dobnak, and Dobnak only threw, I believe, 77, 79 pitches in 5 innings. But Baldelli went to all of his best relievers. Rogers isn't great in back-to-back outings, where he wasn't last year, and he threw over 20 pitches tonight. So it'll be interesting tomorrow. They're definitely going to have to give the bullpen some run support, because I don't think you're going to have that full complement of arms for the whole series otherwise.
Yeah, to your point on the offense, I think as exciting as that grand slam from Rosario was, and as how refreshing as it was, I think one of the big stories tonight is that was another really lackluster night for the offense. You can see here, Ari Adrianza, the only player with multiple hits. Buxton striking out 3 times, of course. They just really couldn't get it going. Freddie Peralta just absolutely dominated them out of the bullpen. That was unbelievable. And you look at the exit velocity here, 5 of the 6 hardest hit balls of the night came from the Brewers. The 2 hardest hit balls from the Twins came from Alex Avila and Ari Adrianza. Wow, that's not what you expect to see from this lineup with all of its sluggers and reputed hitters in it. So definitely concerning and just ongoing struggles, and it's kind of hard to put your finger on. Matthew, what's your takeaway tonight? What are you feeling after the game?
Yeah, I think it has to be Randy Dobnak. Just once again getting the job done. Just all he does is go throw 5 innings, allow 0 or 1 earned runs, and just give your team a chance to win. And he did it again. He started out a little bit shaky. He allowed a 4-pitch walk to start the game. Got into a little bit of trouble, but got out of that one. Got into a little more trouble in the second inning that he allowed a run. But then after that, he was just really, really good. He was really efficient. In innings 3, 4, and 5, pitched just 15, 9, and 13 innings. And with the sinker baller, you can always tell that they have it going when they're getting a lot of ground outs. And it seemed like he was starting to get in a groove, and they were just pounding everything into the ground in innings 3, 4, and 5. So, Randy, you just think that one of these days he's going to give it up, and he just keeps going in and giving us quality, good starts, and refreshing to see that again, especially with the pitching depth the way it is.
Yeah, definitely. Another huge outing from Dobnak. He's now sitting with, I think, a 1.30 career ERA in the majors with nearly 50 innings in the books. Wanted to take a look at his pitch chart here because, I mean, this is just beautiful. There's very few strikes anywhere up in the zone. Look at how many he's got bunched down here. I mean, that's how you want to do it. I saw Tom Froming of Twins Daily had a tweet that Dobnak had 17 called strikes tonight on, I think, like 79 pitches, and that's a new high for the Twins this year. Dobnak's just going low in the zone with these breaking balls and these sinkers, and he's just freezing guys, and it's pretty beautiful to watch. I don't know if he really even had his best stuff tonight, but still another excellent outing. Cody Perkle, we didn't get a chance to introduce you this first time around, so first let me ask, how are you doing tonight, man? Are you having a beer?
Yeah, I'm actually you guys can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. I'm actually celebrating the Twins losing streak coming to an end by having a Lagavulin 16 as made famous by Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec. So I'm joining Dick and probably his left-hand toast that he's probably already posted on Twitter. I haven't checked, but yeah. So
very nice. What's your big takeaway from the game tonight, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, Ted and Matt kind of covered the offense and the Randy Dobnak part. I think one of the big things that stood out to me was from right when the lineup got set out. First time all year, I believe, that Garver was out for 2 games in a row. Obviously, Avila against the lefty or against the righty makes more sense. But I think Avila is really like flying under the radar. I don't, obviously he's not going to take a ton of at bats away from Garver. We all know what he can do. Rocco knows what he can do, but I mean, I think Avila is really going under the radar. I mean, he's up towards the top of the American League in on base percentage. I think he's like 4th or 3rd or something in WRC plus on the whole Twins roster. I mean, he's so good on like a modern day analytics level that I'm surprised Jack Morris isn't complaining about him. Like he's honestly like, it's crazy. Like I haven't seen him take a bat at bat yet this year too. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, full count almost every time, drives the ball when he makes contact. He's like a really under the radar pickup, and we might start seeing a little less of Garver as offense struggles.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I think that was definitely something I was going to want to touch on tonight. Alex Avila with now a .464 on base percentage after drawing a couple walks tonight. He's looked really good defensively. And as you mentioned, I don't think it's a situation where you have to worry that he's going to take over Mitch Garver's job. But certainly with Garver really struggling out of the gates, it's nice to have him around. He's been playing excellent. Mike Link in the chat asks, what makes Dobnak so successful at this point? Is he our ace? That seems really strange. It does seem really strange. I'm not sure it's an absurd thing to say until proven otherwise. The guy is pitching out of his mind. I mean, he's just, when he gives up 1 run in a game, it's like crazy. So I don't know. Let's start with you, Cody. What do you think? What is it that's making Dobnak so successful? We talked a little bit earlier about, working low in the zone and getting a lot of called strikes tonight, but it's pretty crazy to see just how he continues to have this incredible success.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of looking at that just because it makes no sense to me, but he's got that slider, which is a huge whiff pitch for him. It's kind of the only whiff pitch he has. Obviously, successful against righties, as sliders usually are on same-handed hitters and everything. So he kind of goes and gets all of his whiffs there. The interesting thing that it looks like to me is when he faces lefties, this is what I think kind of sets him aside. from what I can tell, he kind of goes away from trying to get those whiffs, and he focuses more on trying to get him to drive the ball into the ground. He kind of goes a lot more sinker heavy from what I've been seeing, and I think he kind of just knows the limitations against opposite-handed hitters and isn't trying to go and get those whiffs in a way that might make him unsuccessful. I think he goes back to his bread and butter and just kind of tries to get guys to beat it into the ground and get quick at bats and stuff. And I think that kind of avoids a lot of damage that he could be allowing otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. I want to remind everyone in the attendee pool, you're more than welcome to join the conversation. There's a Q&A panel. There's a chat. Feel free to share your thoughts or any comments you have that you want to air to the crowd. Matthew, I know you kind of already touched on Dobnak's performance. Ted, what are you seeing in Dobnak? How is he continuing to have so much success on the mound?
Yeah, I was just kind of looking again here quick at this Fangraphs page after putting that in the notebook today too. But the rate at which he allows people just to drive the ball into the ground, Cody just touched on that, is just incredible. He had a 68% ground ball rate coming into tonight, and he's not a qualified pitcher, having only thrown 15 innings before tonight. But that among qualified pitchers, no one else is above. There's 3 guys above 60%. Pablo Lopez of the Marlins, Luis Castillo is at 62%, and then no one else is above 60%. He's at 68%. So, yeah, I mean, he gives up some hard-hit balls, but they all go right into the ground. And I think the Twins taking so many steps forward defensively this year has been huge for him and for, the success of a guy that's going to get ground balls.
Yeah, I think it was Patrick Royce made a comment on Twitter a week or two ago that's really kind of stuck with me, that Randy Dobnak is almost like a throwback, prototype pitcher of like the Rick Anderson era, the ground ball strike thrower, except he's just like way better at it than any of the guys they had then. I mean, Carlos Silva and Nick Blackburn didn't really have great ground ball rates. They were not at the level of Dobnak, who throws strikes and gets crazy ground ball rates. I mean, everyone truly just it's impossible to lift. We looked at the pitch chart earlier. There's nothing up in the zone, and everything has so much sink on it. So it's, of course, he's not going to sustain at a 1.30 ERA, but it's a pretty sustainable recipe, I think, if he can keep doing what he's doing. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the bullpen sequencing tonight. I think there's been a little talk lately about the fact that Rocco hasn't really gone to his top guys at all for like the last half week, which is just a little, they've been losing, obviously, so it's not that unusual to see, but still, you expect to see guys getting some work. Rocco was asked about it pregame, and he basically said, we don't think it behooves us or these guys to be using them in deficit spots. And, sure enough, with a 3-run lead, he went through all of his top guys tonight, May, then Duffy, then Romo, and then, of course, Rogers to close it out. It seems to me, I think Matthew, maybe you were, or maybe it was Cody, was commenting a little bit on Twitter about the order of the pitchers. And it's striking to me as well. It seems like Sergio Romo has pretty much emerged as Rocco's number 2 guy behind Rogers. I mean, he's getting that setup spot in the 8th inning. He was facing tough hitters tonight. And I think he pitched well. It's hard to knock him. He gave up the home run on what I thought was a pretty good 0-2 pitch, a slider that was well outside the zone that Hura just went and got. But at the same time, it's surprising to me, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I trust Romo as much as I trust Duffy, who, I mean, looks absolutely unstoppable right now. Let's start with you, Matthew. What's your feeling about the bullpen mix, and do you agree with sort of the sequencing we're seeing here?
Yeah, I think I was surprised as well. I think Duffy's been probably the best, at least numbers-wise, the best reliever in the majors for the past years since last August. He has like a 1 point, or no, not even a 1 point, a sub-1 ERA. He has a whip of 0.59 or something like that with like a 49% strikeout rate. So he's just been ridiculous, one of the best relievers in baseball. And so it is a little odd. It was the same last year. I mean, Duffy was having an insane stretch last year as well, but Baldelli really never used him past the 7th inning, which, who knows, it could just be a comfort thing, or it could be, who knows what it is, but it's been working. And at the same time, Romo's been solid in the 8th inning. He hasn't really given much reason to not have him in that spot. He's reliable. He's been in big spots throughout his career. So, I mean, sure Romo gave up the home run today, but he got 4 whiffs with his slider. He was throwing really well tonight. So I don't mind going with Romo in the 8th inning. Who knows? In the playoffs, things could be different. But now in a game, just 15 games into the season, throwing Romo into the 8th inning, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the results, but it is at the very least sort of interesting to watch and monitor. And yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, it'll probably matter a lot more later in the season and, of course, in the playoffs. Cody, what do you think about the bullpen management? Are you feeling pretty good about the decisions Rocco's making, holding back all his relievers, having all the top guys fresh tonight, and then using them in the order he did?
Yeah, I mean, to start, actually, me and Matthew were talking last night on Twitter a little bit, going back and forth, just kind of debating the usage the last couple days. I guess just out of frustration with the offense and everything, I was kind of more on the side where, at least in like a 1 or 2 run game, I would have liked to see Rocco go to like even a Trevor May or something. I mean, we've got like those 5 top guys with, Romo, Duffy, May, Rogers, and Clippard. And just to not use any of them in those close games, I guess I kind of disagreed with, just because it felt like runs were at such a premium where if you put in a guy that gave you a better chance to hold it there, it might just be that little extra push that we need. But I mean, that's, definitely can nitpick that. I mean, there's a reason I'm not managing a baseball team, but in terms of tonight, I mean, I commented on Romo in the 8th. I found it more interesting than anything else, just because I just looked it up. Duffy he's been second in FIP, which is like fielding independent pitching for everyone that doesn't know, like kind of expected ERA, I guess is one way you could think about it, since the All-Star break last year. And then he's second in ERA, minimum 30 innings pitched. So it's just kind of interesting to me. He's been kind of one of the best relievers in baseball for about a year now. But I think I definitely love Romo. Romo's great. He's fantastic. I think he's also a great 8th inning guy. I found it more interesting than anything else, and I think that might just be a testament to Rocco's appreciation for his experience that he's had in his career. That might just be the tiebreaker, I guess. But, yeah, I mean, I have no issue with it. The home run he gave up tonight, not a bad pitch at all. I did not think that was going out. So, I mean, can't really complain about it. It was just kind of an observation that I made.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think it's valid. And, also, I mean, yeah, Sergio Romo has pitched in a lot of big games. So the big game experience definitely comes in huge. Ted, any thoughts on the bullpen you want to share?
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's a weird, like competing type of thought process, in that if you're down by, a run or 2, you're almost okay with punting on, a lesser reliever, a mop-up type reliever. But if you're up by 1 or 2, you're bringing in, in the 5th or 6th inning, you're bringing in your horses. So I don't know if it's, hey, we're trying to step on teams' throats right away with our best relievers out of the bullpen. And, in the 8th, we're good with Romo because he's solid and whatever, and Rogers is there behind him. But, yeah, it is kind of weird that they go to, I mean, even Trevor May, I would say, is probably a better high leverage or more traditional high leverage arm at this point of their careers than Romo would be. But some of those decisions, I guess, it's interesting how he sees that usage. Yeah, for sure. So on that note, talking about the bullpen here, I'm going to pull up the bullpen usage chart here on Twins Daily, which I think will be a good segue. If anyone has any comments or questions you want us to discuss, feel free to still get them in. But otherwise, we're going to talk a little bit about tomorrow's game. I think it's a pretty interesting topic in the way that it's shaping up. So the bullpen usage charts are always available on twinsdaily.com in the post-game recaps, which go up immediately after the games. Tonight's via the great Nate Palmer, Randy and Rosie show. A perfectly apt title for this one. You're always going to find these fun FanGraph win probability charts, a great write-up, some tweets, some insights from the game, and these super handy bullpen usage spreadsheets, which, of course, with tomorrow looking like it's going to be a bullpen game, especially pertinent, I think. So Rogers actually, threw 21 pitches tonight. He worked about as hard as we've seen him work this season to get through that last 9th inning.
Romo and Duffy and May all pitched, of course. But, I think the upshot of the fact that these guys, Duffy and May had not pitched in 5 days, Romo had not pitched in 4 days. Pretty easy to see any of those guys going back-to-back if they're needed tomorrow. So, that could be another point in favor of Rocco's strategy here because, they probably weren't going to win any of those 4 losses, no matter who came into pitch and relief, and now they've got these guys available for some big games in Milwaukee here. I personally don't think I've heard what the plan is for tomorrow, who's opening the game, starting it. I don't know if any of you guys have, but what are your thoughts on tomorrow? What do you expect to see and what do you want to see? Ted, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think they just mentioned on the broadcast that it was going to be a bullpen game. I don't think that there's been a starter named yet, but it would be nice to see them, run off a streak again and not go back and forth. I think, don't they have Kansas City again this weekend when they come back home, so it would be nice to at least take this series with Milwaukee and set themselves up in a good spot. I think sometimes we get hung up on, and I'm definitely guilty of it too. It's interesting when we get hung up on where the wins come. The fact that, they started out 9-2 and that felt so good, and then you lose 4 in a row and that feels so bad. I mean, 10-6, 11-6, you're set up for about the win total that you thought you had. So, yes, just keep taking down series if that means tomorrow they run through a bullpen and don't have much left for Thursday, but or Wednesday. But they can come back and take Kansas City out. That's fine with me.
Yep, and of course the off day on Thursday. I'm pretty sure their only off day in the month of August, so that'll be some welcome respite. Matthew, what do you think is going to be the plan tomorrow? What approach would you like to see Rocco take with a little bit of an open-ended pitching situation?
Yeah, and going back to just the way that Rocco's used his bullpen so far, I do think the lack of off days does have a big impact in that. We've never had that in the past, so you do have to manage that differently than we've seen in past years. So it might seem odd that, Duffy or May is getting 4 or 5 days off at a time. Seems really odd, but when you're not having off days mixed in, you do have to plan things differently. That being said, I do think that leaves everybody up to go again tomorrow. Some of our guys were more successful last year on no days rest than others, but I think everybody will be available. Maybe not Rogers, but for the most part, everybody else. And then if you just think of the other great guys in the bullpen that didn't even go today, you have Stashak, who struggled in his last go, but he's still been great this year. So the rest of the guys, I think we're in great shape. It'll be interesting to see who goes. I wouldn't be surprised to see Clippard open again. I thought it went well last time when Clippard opened, and he's just super solid. So we'll see where they go with it. But if you can get another quick 2 innings from Clippard and go from there, it'll be interesting to see. But, yeah.
Yeah. Cody, what are your thoughts on tomorrow's game? What are you hoping to see the Twins bring here in Game 2 against the Brewers?
Yeah, I agree with Matthew. I would expect Clippard to open, I guess. That would probably be my guess. Just because I think for starters, I think his craftiness kind of matches up well with the top of their lineup, not only with the lefty Yelich, but with Keston Hiura being a younger guy. I think he kind of has the upper hand there. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go 1 or maybe even 2. I also would guess, from what I've seen, I think not Stashak, Littell. I think Littell is due to get reactivated any day now. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come back. Not sure who he comes back in place of. I don't know if Thorpe is headed down. I don't know. I think he probably would have been before if Poppin hadn't thrown so many pitches the other night. So I don't know if that's the move or if they still want Thorpe around for length and they give it one more go tomorrow. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I would guess they kind of piece it together, do what they have to do to win tomorrow, see if they can steal one in one of the next 2 days and then have that off day Thursday.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Clippard makes a lot of sense, especially with, Yelich coming at the top of that lineup, a great lefty, and Clippard being really the best weapon they have out of the bullpen against lefties. Mike Link says in the chat, I would love to see Alcala and let him go as far as he can. He has stretched out a little bit. He's thrown a couple innings at a time. I don't think he'll open, but I do bet he'll pitch tomorrow. I think there's a very good chance of that. One more question I want to cover here, and then we'll sign off for the night. John asked, we were talking about bullpen guys getting rest. John asked on the offensive side, do you think that rest days are affecting certain guys' ability to get going? Thinking specifically about Sano and Arias, et cetera. I think that's possible. I guess, Arias was not playing super regularly when he first came up last year because he was kind of battling for playing time with Scope. And Sano, I guess, he's played multiple days in a row and doesn't seem to be finding a rhythm yet. So I assume he's working a lot with the hitting coach on those off days. I don't know. Cody, what do you think about that? Do you think that there's some of these hitters are just not finding a rhythm because they're getting a little more days off with the Rocco's playing here?
Yeah, it's tough, and it's kind of a case-by-case thing because I think Arias, first of all, looks pretty well fine. In terms of like his StatCast numbers and everything, looks pretty fine. It's kind of just a BABIP issue. I'm not too worried about that. Sano, I think there's maybe one or two times where he started hitting some grounders that were like 110 miles an hour and stuff like that, and then was out of the lineup the next day when I thought he was kind of close. But that's going to happen. You have a lot of guys that can sub in for him. You can put Marwin over there. You can do whatever. You can do a lot of different things. I would probably guess that's not really the case. I feel like it's more of a matter of, I think it's going to click when it clicks. I don't think it's being prolonged by them having off days. I think at some point something's just going to turn on, and that's how it's going to work, especially for guys like Sano that have that swing and miss ability.
Yeah. I think I'm with you there. Matthew, what's your thought on that question? Do you think that the additional rest is impacting the performances of some of our hitters?
Potentially. I think I'm a big proponent this season that you got to have your guys healthy. So I'm a big fan of what Rocco is doing with giving guys rest, especially somebody like Sano who has a history of injuries, especially with Arias who's had some knee soreness. There's just absolutely no reason to be playing guys every single day when I keep saying it, but playoffs are guaranteed. The Twins are going to make the playoffs. They're probably going to have home field advantage in the playoffs. So health is what's number one. We saw it bite them last year when they got to October with Kepler being overworked in center field last year and playing so much and having other injuries as well, that health is just the biggest ability that you can have. If you're not on the field, it doesn't matter how well you're swinging. So I would rather them have the off days. Maybe it's contributing to a slower start, but I think in the end, the players will get there. And if they get there healthy, that's what matters.
Yeah. And I think we can all agree, what really matters is making sure these guys are clicking and getting in a rhythm as the season gets towards that later point, because, as Ted mentioned earlier, it might not be the prettiest, the streaks, though, the 4-game losing streak and some of the rough offensive performances, but still the Twins are 11-6, leading the division. So you got to be feeling pretty good about where they're at. Ted, any thoughts on the usage, the rest patterns, or maybe how that's affecting anything, or just any final thoughts, I guess, on the game tonight?
Yeah, so as far as the rest, I think the only uncertainty or whatever is to remember that it's probably, it's not just a Twins thing either. The league average is way down this year. Whether we like spring training or not, I think it's pretty clear that at least tracking and seeing pitches in a 2 to 3 week, summer camp sprint probably didn't help guys, especially, Miguel Sano not being able to do that for a good amount of time, dealing with the COVID test. So, I think it'll come around, and it'll be interesting to see how things are managed differently in September when you're not necessarily trying to run guys into the ground, but you're trying to get them into a rhythm so that come October, everything is clicking. One last thought on tonight's game. I hope that we stop seeing infield being played in the first inning. I don't understand it. It doesn't seem to make a ton of sense.
Yeah, that's been an interesting thing from Baldelli. I wonder if maybe we'll find some quotes about that after the post-game scrum, because that is a little unusual to see, as you mentioned, and can definitely work against you there with 2 runners in scoring position. That's a pretty easy way to give up an extra run, right? Seeing in the chat here via Adam and Spencer that Rocco has confirmed that Clippard is starting, or at least opening the game tomorrow in what will be a bullpen game. It's going to be right-hander Josh Lindblom for the Brewers. Game 2, Twins have taken the first 4-2 tonight, and I think that's going to be a wrap. So thank you, Ted. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Cody, for joining us. To everyone who has attended, you can always go to postgamepint.com. That's the little hub page for this series, so you're always going to find a link to that night's Zoom webinar game that you can join, and also we have the YouTube embed if you miss it from the previous night. You can subscribe to the podcast, Twins Daily. It's on iTunes. It's on a bunch of other podcasting platforms. So, if you miss a show, you can always pop it in the next morning with your coffee and get caught up on the previous night and a little look ahead to the next one. So thank you everyone who attended. Thanks guys for joining, and we'll see everyone tomorrow. Hopefully when the Twins take the series.